Everybody enjoys a good day out on the water, but part of the fun of getting out there is getting that day started, finding a way to get that vessel launched, and we're going to explore some of that today. Welcome back, guys, to this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. Launching your vessel can be one of the most frustrating parts of boating. I mean, there's just a lot of things that can go wrong while you're down there. This is one of the reasons that the boat ramp really is the king of comedy in boating. It's not uncommon to show up at a boat ramp and you'll find people sitting in lawn chairs just watching the fun happen. And of course, this happens with good reason. I mean, every time you show up at the boat ramp, you're gonna see something a little different. Heck, every time you even go to the boat ramp and launch your vessel, the experience is gonna be a little different. There are lots of factors to take into account when you're launching your boat. Now, one of the most difficult boat launches is the solo boat launch, when you've gotta do things by yourself. Now, there are many different ways to attempt this type of launch. If you go online and look, you're gonna see lots of people showing you lots of different methods. Some good, some bad. And you have to decide which one's right for you in your launching situation. So for example, this right here we call the running ghost launch. This is where you go ahead and back that trailer down and let the boat go. Let it do its own thing, kind of like a ghost vessel when you've got a ghost captain behind the helm, and the running part comes in after you get that boat in the water. Now, if you do decide to attempt this type of launch, you've got to make sure you're in the correct situation, where you've got docks like this guy does to be able to get around and get to the vessel. Other than that, if you don't put any lines or anything out, well, it might be considered the swimming ghost launch versus the running ghost launch. And this is one of the things you're going to have to consider anytime you launch a vessel, which is going to be the ramp conditions. A lot of times, ramp conditions are going to dictate how your launch goes.
Like me, Colville Bay, they got a 40-foot formula they're trying to pull out, stuck on the pipe mat, right on the frame. Broncos Guru, this one's for you, man. Our only launch lane, by the way. Water's so low out here.
Now, this video was sent in by a viewer over at Lake Mead, showing you how ramp conditions really can affect everything you're trying to do down at the ramp. And these guys go through a lot to try and get this vessel out of the water, as you'll see in the next images. Now, after several attempts with the Super Duty truck, they determined they need a little more power and a little more grip, and one of the easiest ways to do that, well, let's add another 4 tires and a little more horsepower to this. Now, after several attempts with both vehicles, they finally do reach a little success, but they do wind up having to add a little power from the boat as well to get this pulled out, which is a very common tactic. Sometimes it's easier to use the horsepower from the boat on the trailer than it is to try and enlist another vehicle. And 4-wheel drive at the ramp is key as well. If you have 4-wheel drive, typically your life's going to be just a little bit easier. But just because you have 4-wheel drive doesn't mean you're going to be the king of the ramp and able to pull out in every single situation, as can be seen in these images here. I mean, obviously by looking at this, we can tell our dude has 4-wheel drive, but still, he's struggling. Now, once again, this could be a ramp condition situation. Maybe the trailer's getting hung up on something. Maybe the ramp's covered in algae and they're slipping. Or more than likely, he's got 4 bald tires on this truck, which obviously if you've got 4-wheel drive with no grip, it's not really gonna matter a whole lot. Which this crew apparently seems to have figured out, and they decide let's go to step 2, which is add a little more horsepower. So our captain at the helm has decided he's going to go ahead and turn this boat on, and we're going to give it another shot at trying to get this thing out, but even with that, it's just not enough. So at this point in time, you don't have a whole lot of options, but the safest bet's to go ahead and enlist a little help, and get yourself pulled out. Kind of like we're going to see this crew do here. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram and let me know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Benicio, Only Yams, Edgar Soko, Van Mitchell, and Suarez Dan did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.